What's up, everybody? We got an exciting video for you today. We have some leaks for 9th edition. We got points for Space Marine. So I'm going to kind of run through this. I'm going to point out a couple things. There's obviously a lot that can be talked about and pointed out. I'm going to kind of just show you if you haven't seen it already. If you have, maybe these are a little bit clear images for you to digest. Let me know in the comments what unit affects what you usually play the most and how maybe these overall point changes are going to affect what you play, because there's some pretty decent big point changes that are just going to affect how much you can take in a list. So let's jump right into it. All right, so let's start off with looking at the Dominus set. So as you can see here, there are the units and some other new units that are not in the box that we've seen a couple of, right? We've seen like the ATV. But to point out before we talk about these points, we've got a Primaris Chaplain on a bike. Let's talk about that. Like, come on. That's going to be pretty sweet. So that's going to be able to keep up with, the other Outriders and other fast things for Space Marines. So having a Chaplain on a bike is really, really cool. And I'm hoping that, everybody gets to use that and it's not limited to certain chapters. So then you look over at the points. We don't really know too much, what these mean. Most of them are, new units. So we don't really have comparisons to a lot of these on if they're going up in points or anything like that. So the Outrider squad is 45 points per bike, essentially. I don't think that that's that bad. I mean, they've got 4 wounds each. So that's pretty good considering. So I think that that's actually pretty decent. And then, we don't know the full rules or anything on like the Blade Guard veterans yet. Like what is their saves going to be or anything, but 35 points a model. So, you're taking a squad of 3 for, 105 points or so. It says this is points per model. It's got 2 stars and it's got stuff down here. It says excluding war gear and including war gear. So we're not sure if the 2 stars is with or without war gear. I'm going to assume it's with though, because they have like Sergeant with plasma pistol here, and they've got the Fire Strike servo arm. So they've got stuff with weapons here, like with multi-melta, it's 5 points more. So with something else, it's 5 points less. So you could kind of see there's some point differences there. But overall, this is what the points are looking like in the Dominus set. And then we go over here, and I'm just going to kind of scroll through the point changes for all the weapons, and you can kind of point out, what you think are the weapons that are going to affect you the most and how it adds up to the units that you play. So I'll stay on this, and you guys can kind of look at it. I am not the biggest Space Marine player. If Thomas was here, he'd be able to tell you maybe right off a hand what all these mean. So I don't know all the changes, of what every single point change is going to be. And then here's another page of the weapons here. And then we move into the models and the points on the models. Again, I'm just going to kind of go through this. I'm going to point out a couple key ones that are the changes that I want to focus on after I go through this full list. You can kind of wrap your head around this. You can go and build lists now, essentially, which is good for all the Space Marine players out there. I wish I could do that for some other armies. When we go down, we see some heavy supports, troops, elites, and transports here. I think the transports are a pretty big change, and also like the repulsor, the Thunderfire cannon, pretty big change. So, maybe you'll see 1 Thunderfire cannon. If you see people still taking 3 with the point change, that's going to eat up a lot more of their list now. But maybe it's still worth it. Maybe it's totally still worth it. And the last of the point changes there. And then we're going to jump back up to see my beautiful face here. And we are going to go over to the couple that I just want to point out. So the point changes I want to point out is going to be the Impulsor and the Repulsor. So you've got a couple of your dedicated transports. I think that transports are going to be kind of important in this edition. Just with the way cover works and the way holding objectives are going to work and stuff like that, I think it's going to be good to have transports, and you can see that these ones are basically going up 30 points each. So now you're going to think even more though if you do want transports. So it's just one of those things where maybe they were in a good spot before, now they're going up 30 points, then you're going to question it a little bit more. Oh, should I take it? Should I not take it? Should I just take another couple squads of guys? And maybe that's the better thing. Maybe you just take a couple more, squads instead of transports if that plays better to your play style and the missions and everything. So the Thunderfire Cannon's going up 38 points. That's a lot. That's a pretty big jump, and obviously that's a really strong unit. So I'm not surprised to see a jump like that. So now, if you're taking 3 of these, you're in it for essentially 400 points of your army. That's a lot. So do you want to dedicate, 400 out of your 2,000 points into Thunderfire Cannons? Maybe it's totally worth it. With Blast and with all these other things that are happening, they could be really, really strong. They still have indirect fire, so yes, it's probably still worth it, depending on how things shake up. Aggressors, I know a lot of people play aggressors, and they're really good with a lot of armies, and I pointed out that I think aggressors are one of the top units for Space Marines with the new reserve rules. So with the new reserve rules and them being able to jump from an edge of a board, in turn 2 and beyond, makes them really strong, because what they struggle with is their range. So as I talked about in, a different video, I'm focusing on this unit because I think they're going to be really, really strong coming off the board, being able to be in range without losing anything. And they also have a really good close combat threat. So I think they're a really good unit. They're going up about 8 points per model. So yes, 8 points per model could be bad, but I think they're so much stronger now that they need to be played in a lot of lists. And then the Repulsor Executioner, obviously we see this kind of taken, it's your big tank, it's your guns. I also talked about this and how strong it's going to be with the reserves, because being able to just bring this in on a board edge, not get shot at first turn, being able to dump everything with its more shorter ranged weapons into stuff is really strong. It's going up 40 points. I don't think that that's that bad for what it is and what it can do, especially when you compare that to like a Thunderfire Cannon. Like the Repulsor does way more than a Thunderfire Cannon does in the end of the day. So those are kind of the ones that I want to point out. Again, in the comments below, let me know what changes affect your list the most and what you're looking forward to. And we'll see you next time. Peace out.